Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Licence Subcommittee for Thursday, 16th of January at 10 o'clock in the morning. Let me start, first of all, we've been watched live on our YouTube channel. You'll be seen if you're sitting on this side of the desk. We've got no audience, so it's fine. You'll only be heard if you press toggle on and toggle off using your microphone. So when you do speak, please toggle on and then toggle off, obviously, when you're finished. You got it? Yeah, yes, sorry. Some housekeeping, fire alarms. I'm not expecting a fire alarm. If it does go off, it's a real thing. Please leave the way you've come in or to my right. We have officers here. You can follow us, and we meet outside the Miller's Tap, which is apt for licensing hearing. Mobile phones, please switch them off. Any other tablets that you have that might disturb us. Let me introduce myself first of all. I'm Councillor Roy Shamdell. I'm the chairman of the committee. Assisting me in making the decision, we have Councillor Lynn Allen and we have Councillor Teji Barnes. We also have Luke Taylor from Democratic Services who will be taking the notes and ensuring I follow procedure. And from legal, we have Glenn Egan who will make sure all the decisions that we make are legal and just. Right, we have other people here. If you'd like to introduce yourself and what role you're in here for, start off right away.
Jeannie Magaji, licensing officer.
Anita Morar, we're the applicants for the licensing.
Morning, Dilip Morar from the licensing.
Susan Toms, representing the Ruislip, Northwood and Eastcote Local History Society.
Thank you very much. We also got some resident feedback forms at the back if you would like to fill them out. We don't see them. They help us improve our process. Right, move on to the agenda. Any apologies for absence?
We've got no apologies.
Any declarations of interest matters coming for this meeting? No? Okay, so everything's in part one. That's okay. Any matters that have been notified in urgent or advance? No?
None.
We've got no sheets or anything additional? No? All right, we'll move on straight away. Ms. Mukherjee, far away.
Thank you, Chairman, and good morning to all of you. Today's hearing is in relation to a new premises license application in respect of an independent tea room called the Byre Tea Rooms in Byre Street, Ruislip, which is located within the 22-acre Manor Farm complex. This was a well-established cafe until November 2018 when it stopped operating as the previous tenant vacated the premises. The present applicants, Mrs. Anita Morar and Mr. Dilip Morar, are the new tenants who want to provide a fuller experience to visitors to the site. They want to be able to sell a selection of alcoholic drinks to their clientele on some evenings of the week. The proposed licensable hours are from 5 in the evening till 11 at night on Thursday, Friday and Saturday evenings. The applicant also wants to showcase the musical talents of a local guitarist by way of live entertainment on those same evenings, and that's from 7 in the evening till 11 at night. I just want to add that due to deregulation, they don't really need a license for that live entertainment from between 7 and 11, but they have mentioned it on the form. And both the sale and supply of alcohol and provision of live music will be held indoors. The application is put before the subcommittee due to the receipt of two representations. One is from Ms. Susan Toms on behalf of Ruislip, Northwood and Eastcote Local History Society, and the other is from Mrs. Leslie Crowcroft on behalf of the Eastcote Conservation Panel. The representations were submitted due to concerns under the Licensing Act objectives, and all representations were received within the consultation period, which ended on 16th of December 2019. The representations are appended in appendices 2 and 3, and that's between pages 33 and 39 of the bundle. So the representations are mainly to do with the prevention of crime and disorder and the prevention of public nuisance. So on prevention of crime and disorder, both the representations addresses the crime and disorder objective, as there are concerns over the sale of alcohol leading to a rise in antisocial behavior and other crimes such as vandalism to the area. The main view of the objectors is that the concealed location of the place will attract more antisocial behavior to the area. Section 182 of the Home Office's published guidance refers to the police as being the main source of advice on crime and disorder. The Metropolitan Police are statutory consultees for any new premises license application, and they have not raised any objection to this. Furthermore, our council's licensing policy and the guidance both indicate that the hours that shops could generally be allowed to sell alcohol was to reflect the trading hours unless there was a good reason to restrict this. The applicants have proposed certain conditions in the operating schedule to demonstrate the steps which they'll take to uphold this licensing objective, which all the responsible authorities are satisfied with. On prevention of public nuisance, both the representations also refer to this objective. The main concerns raised were directly connected to the possibility of a noise nuisance occurring from the proposed hours of sale of alcohol and provision of live music. The operating schedule addresses the steps the applicants will take to address this concern. In accordance with the Council's licensing policy, arbitrary restrictions that would undermine the principle of flexibility are always avoided by the licensing department, and each case is judged on its individual merits. There is no fixed restriction on terminal hours for any particular areas of the borough, and the hours proposed for some evenings by the applicants are considered to be not too excessive for the area. In light of all the evidence, I would now invite the subcommittee to determine the application in whether to grant, refuse, or amend it as applied for. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny. Just if you could just go through the hours once again for me. What hours are they proposing to be serving alcohol?
So the hours proposed are 5 in the evening till 11 at night on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
Okay, and what time is the premises open to the public?
So on between Monday and Wednesday, it's open from 9.
Just on the day that we're talking about license, the hours.
Yes. So it's open from 9 in the morning till 11 at night on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
So they stop serving alcohol at 11 and they shut at 11. Is no drinking up time, as we call it?
That's right, Chairman. Drinking up time is not mandatory, so it's 9 till 11.
Okay, thank you. Councillors, any questions? Councillor Barnes.
Thank you, Chairman. Jenny, could you just clarify Leslie Crowcroft's submission? Did she amend it or something?
Councillor Barnes, I had received an email from Councillor Dennis, where Leslie Crowcroft had some questions, and I replied to those, and then she came back saying that she understands the remit of licensing, and her concerns are not to do with licensing. I think she understands that. So we haven't had any discussion since then on whether she's withdrawing her representation, because we were going ahead with the hearing, because we thought that it's only fair that we hear the concerns of all the residents.
No? Okay, thank you. We now go on to the applicant, whoever would like to speak. And again, to please remember to toggle on and toggle off. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. I just want to submit a piece of paper, what we've wrote, and it's regarding what we're talking about. So first, I'd like to thank you for this opportunity. We understand fully the concerns that have been raised, and of course, being business residents ourselves in the Byre, at that Little Willows Pottery Studio, we have no desire to turn the Byre into an antisocial establishment. One of our key aims in starting our new venture is to retain the existing charm of the tea rooms and its warm, friendly and family feel. To keep up with the needs and the requirements of our customers, we are proposing that, as well as modernising the decor and food offerings, striving to source local ingredients and supplies, we would also like to offer themed ticket monthly events, such as pop-up supper clubs run by a local chef that we know. At these events, we would like to allow our customers to enjoy a glass of wine with their meal. We also think this will be, we would run this as a ticketed event only, aimed at the more mature members, like ourselves, of the community state, and the stated risk of paving the way for antisocial behaviour in public noise nuisance would be negligible, we think. With these kind of events in mind, we will have a limited licence application, like Ginny has explained, from Thursday to Saturday, from 5 to 11. And regarding the concerns about noise, we're more than happy to adhere to the closed door policy as stated in the objection. However, in the addition, we would also be willing to, beyond this, install a sound limiter to limit the sound levels for public performances in our premises. So, thank you.
Thank you very much for that. I think the rest of the question really on what you said. We can do that in the other stage. You mentioned a monthly pop-up club. Now, what days is this going to be, and how long is it going to be lasting? Is this on the day, and third one is, will it coincide with the days that you license?
Yes, Chairman, it will, yes.
Councillors?
You just asked my question.
I do apologise. Okay, any other clarifications on what the presentation's been made?
No, I understand pop-ups are very popular.
Okay.
And they don't tend to bring rowdy mobs out. It's people who've got a taste for food. So let's hope.
Okay, we've got no other responsible authorities here, so we'll move on to Miss Susan Toms. In your own time, madam.
Thank you for allowing me an opportunity to speak. And as I say, I'm representing the society, so I'm not speaking as an individual, and our society does have over 100 members. But we do have, despite hearing your reassurances, we do still have two main concerns. Our main concern is that by granting this licence, it would increase the risk of damage and vandalism to this very important historical site. I must stress that the Manor Farm site is one of the most important historic sites both in the borough and possibly the southeast of England, because it is unique in having such a wide range of farm buildings of different periods still extant and in such good condition on one site. This is very rare. And if I could just quickly run through all the buildings excuse me, that are on the site. We have a Motte and Bailey Castle dating from Norman times, which is a scheduled ancient monument. The Great Barn is 13th century, and that's the second largest in Middlesex. The Manor Farmhouse is 16th century. The Little Barn, which is now the library, is pre-1600. The stables are Victorian. The cowshed and pigsties are also Victorian. And then the dairy in front, which is now used by the guide hut, is 18th century. And all these buildings are nationally listed, which will indicate to you how important they are. And in fact, even the cow bar, unfortunately, would have been listed too if it hadn't burnt down. The original cow bar where you want to have the tea rooms was a 19th century thatched building, but it unfortunately burnt down in 1976, so the present building is a 1980 replacement, so obviously that isn't listed. But as you can see, with all these very important historic buildings on one site, that is why the society is so concerned that nothing should be done that, increases the risk to them. I quite understand, obviously, from your perspective, the venue that you're hoping to open is not going to want to have hen nights and stag nights. It's not going to be that sort of venue to encourage, mass drinking. But I think our concern more is that the very fact that it will be open in the evening and serving alcohol might attract others onto the site with less benign attitudes. It will just encourage possibly groups of young people. It is a very secluded site. The lighting isn't very good. The police presence isn't, regular. So I don't think we can rely on that, to be honest. And we're just very concerned that other people may be attracted onto the site. They can easily hide away. And with all the best will in the world, although I'm sure you want to run a good establishment, it's just making it more prone to possible damage. That it really is our main concern, possible damage to the buildings. all these buildings were restored at great expense by Heritage Lottery funding in 2007, 2008. And any repairs, if there was damage to them by vandalism, would be a bill that would have to be carried by the council. And repairs to historic buildings, are very expensive. You had to get in specialist contractors, so that would be another drain on the council's, limited resources. So that is our main concern. And if I could just very quickly then mention our second concern is about the prevention of noise. We have no problem at all with you operating during the day. In fact, we would encourage it. We think, a cafe on the site, to replace the one that closed in 2018 would be very good. We feel it should bring in, visitors to the site. But we're rather concerned about the possibility of noise spilling outside, because I see in your application that you say you hope to submit plans at a later date to knock out the back wall to provide an outdoor seating area. Well, once people are sitting outside, then the noise is going to carry. So I'm assuming that if you're going to allow people to sit outside in the evening to drink, then that's going to obviously increase the risk of noise to neighbours, because it's bounded on three sides by residential properties, and also the noise will then possibly attract other people onto the site. And similarly, your guitarist, even though he might be indoors, he or she indoors, surely if you're going to have open, you have to have the doors open for people to get to the outside seating area, the noise from the guitarist will carry too. So I feel this must be, taken into consideration if you're planning an outside seating area at a later stage. The fact that this will increase, the noise nuisance to nearby residents. I gather at the moment if events are held in the Great Barn, which is on the site and does have a licence to hold weddings and other functions, that because of problems with noise, that they have to keep the doors closed when they have events with live music. So possibly a similar condition should be applied to the cow bar if you're going to offer live music. I realise a guitarist is not the same volume of noise as a band or a disco, which people might have at a wedding reception, but I do feel these concerns should be taken in consideration when making your decision. And as I say, we're not wanting to be NIMBYs on this, and we're not anti-business, or we realise that nothing can be preserved in aspect, but we are so concerned that it is such an important site. I would ask the committee to take into consideration our concerns. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. We do move on to a discussing stage in a bit, then where we can discuss all the points, and I understand where you're coming from. NIMBYs, I don't know what that is, but I'm sure you'll tell me later on. In terms of with the Great Barn, have you had any antisocial behaviour sort of generated from there when they have their weddings or parties that you're aware of?
Well, I know the residents were very concerned, and I think we did raise similar, but I haven't personally heard of any, but I think they do actually have to keep the doors closed when they have events.
Councillor Allen.
Thank you. You've said to us that there's a lack of police presence in the area, and we all know, we all understand that. But do you not think by opening the area in the evening, it actually would make the area safer and more, because listen to what's being said, I'm not of the view that you're going to have hordes of young rowdy kids going there. So anything that goes on there at night would actually encourage transparency of what's going on in the area and shine a light on the beautiful facilities that are there.
Yes, I can see that point of view. I think it's just possibly a risk too great to take, though, because there is always our concern was more that not that the actual clientele of the other will cause the problems. I'm sure there won't, because it's not the type of customer that they're wanting to attract. It's more that others could be drawn onto the site who will cause trouble later. You know, use just taking it as an opportunity to cause mischief. You know.
Yep, fire away, Councillor.
We've been told that, you know, they want to expand later on, extend the building, but that is not something within our remit today. We can only judge on what is before us today, not what's proposed. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, we'll move on to the discussion stage where we'll ask the more poignant questions here. Just one more point from myself is you mentioned the lighting. It's separate from licensing, but if you do have issue with lighting, I would contact your local councillors and let them know and let them sort of try and help out with that. But that's just a separate issue. I thought I'd raise that point. Okay, right. If you'd like to switch your microphone off. Okay, right. We now move on to the discussion stage. This is what happens is through me, you can ask questions of one another and to try and get to any issues that you might have. I will kick off, and it will be to the applicants first. Now, the question I have first of all is: you have a license. You applied for a license up to 2,300 hours, and you shut at 2,300 hours. So, if somebody was to order a drink at 10:59 and 35 seconds, how do you propose to manage that?
I think the idea is that we're going to close at 11, because we understand with the Great Barn, they have to be closed at 11 as well. So we've gone, when they have weddings and that, so by 11 nobody's drinking, everybody has to leave. So we would say 10:30 would be, I suppose, the latest people can buy drinks. We've said 11 because so if someone buys it at 10:30, we're assuming they can drink
right,
it.
Okay. So if what you are proposing, if I'm correct, is a licensable activity up to 20 to 30, and you'll be shutting that. So that gives us a half an hour drinking time. Okay. Okay. Excellent. That. If you go to your packs, page 19. We have something at the bottom about the local musician. Got to put my teeth in probably. What kind of, is it going to be electric guitar, or is it going to be? If you could just give a bit more information on that, please.
Yes, it will be electric guitar. He's currently our nephew's guitar teacher, and we've got to know him over the last 2 to 3 years.
That's right. That's why he says what he's. I don't need to know the relationships. I can get it, but see, I just need to know. Right. We move on to page 24. If I could just, what experience do you have in running? Do you have any experience in running licensable premises?
No, I don't.
Okay, fair enough. Right, so if you go into the reason why we're here is to make sure all our licensing objectives are adhered to at all times. So I just need to go through what you have offered in terms of all the points, the 4 licensing objectives that we have. If you start off with the prevention of crime and disorder, first of all, which is on page 24, section 18 of 21B, and moving down, we start off 5B first of all. Images should be retained for 28 days. We normally ask for 31 days. Would that be an issue?
Not at all, Chairman.
Okay. You've also, I don't understand points 5. If you could tell me about how you're going to act out points 5, C and D, please.
I think that's just to do with the CCTV. I mean, that's something that I do currently at work. We hold on to images and we'll go through it and we'll look at the relevant parties. So if there's any measures we need to take, we can then move forward with those.
Right. We need to be a bit more exact in the points, because these are conditions that you are proposing. And these conditions, obviously, when you propose them, and when we get to our deliberation and we feel they're acceptable, this is how you will have to run your business, according to these points. So, for me, it says the CCTV system is, if the CCTV system is inoperable, you will get it repaired ASAP. Yeah. And then on point D, it says the CCTV shall operate at times that the public armed premises and licensable, which is our concern, activities are taking place. So to me that says if a CCTV camera is not working, you will not be having any licensable activities.
That's correct, yeah.
Right, we move on to public safety. Point 1, fourth line down, it says this bistro is subject to inspection from their own safety and security staff. Could you tell me who they are and what kind of qualifications they hold for this?
That would be me. I currently at work am the deputy head of estate for Premier Foods.
So how does that involve in terms of your safety and security? So your security staff, are they what, SIA? Are we talking about SIA personnel or?
I would be ideally if on the licensing nights. We do that currently, so I would like to look at putting someone in with a security background to look after the site, just to eliminate any issues if it arise.
And so, what time would this security person be working, sir?
From 4:30 until 11.
We move on to page 25, prevention of public nuisance. Point 1, you say we will other litter within a certain radius of the bistro. What is this radius, please?
I suppose it'd be around our Manor Farm site, around where the art gallery is, where the courtyard, the Great Barn.
Although I'm very familiar with the area because I do live down there. My kids regularly, when they were young. On the pictures that we have there, if you look up 43, page 43, 44, 45, I think which is the best one for yours? Yours is... roughly show us up to where you're going to... So if you tell us what page you're talking about and...
Okay, so all of those, page 43, that's right outside the cow Byre.
Yeah.
44 is behind where, we're not doing it now, but where we were proposing for the double doors around that back entrance. And then you've got leading towards the library.
So if I'm close, in the vicinity of your premises,
yeah.
I get that. All right. Point 2, you said the doors can be closed and shall try. Big difference between try and will. We here, we like to promote good businesses, work with not at the cost of the residents in terms of this. And so, try or will? Which one it will be?
Will.
Thought so. Lovely. I will get to you. Let's just go through my points. Sorry. We've now got... I'm moving on to points 3 and 6. It says external litter bins must be in situ and new signs which shall be installed to request customers that needs of local residents and leave our area quietly. And 6 is signage shall be installed on site, encouraging customers to keep noise a minimum and to dispose of litter appropriately. Now, what I need to know is, one is how are you actually going to carry that out, please?
We've spoken to, what's his name,
Tim Sorwood.
Tim Sorwood, who's the manager of the site, to look at different signages that we can put up.
So you're going to put up new signs. This is within the premises or outside or?
Externally.
What are you going to have internally then?
Just the normal bins and around.
I'm more concerned at the moment with asking patrons to leave quietly? What exactly are you going to have in place?
Yeah, we'd have a notice saying just to respect our neighbours and to keep the noise level down.
Okay, so how are we going to actually then enforce that, should we say? The reason why I'm labouring on this point is because it's quite clear. The reason why we're here is we have interested parties who are concerned, especially with public nuisance. So I'm going to have to drill down.
Yeah.
And I do apologise if you feel I'm just being repetitive.
No, yeah.
But I need to have the answer, which I can then, we as a committee then can deliberate on. So what actual steps are you going to be taking? Because you're not from a licensing background, which it's not a great concern in terms of it's how you're going to actually manage it.
Yeah, I mean, I currently own Little Willow's Pottery Studio, which is on the Manor Farm site, and so that's the type of client. And I ask them, I say to them, be mindful of people around, and I've never had an issue with that. But I mean, if we need to put actual physical signs, we can put those up. Well,
you've not been open up until 11 o'clock at night, and you haven't served alcohol. So add the two together. You can understand where resident concern and as a committee our concerns are. We go through quite a few of these on a regular basis now. So our concerns are such in terms of what actual steps will you be taking. I understand you said you're going to have somebody from security from 4:30 to 11. Okay, that's noted. That's another condition that you are offering. So I need to know, it's 11 o'clock. You've asked just a situation that could arise. You've got 4 or 5 people who don't want to leave. They want another drink. And as they're leaving, they're shouting and swearing or whatever they might be doing. What action would you take?
Well, I'm hoping we wouldn't have that sort of clientele, but if we did, hopefully we can reassure them you've got to leave the estate. We can call the police. We're hoping I'm hoping to be on site on each of the licensing nights from after work. So I'll be another presence on site.
Okay, would you record any of this anywhere?
As in when you say record, Chairman?
In terms of, would you have any mechanism in place where, should an issue arise and the police are involved, for example, or even the council, that you would have some sort of record of this?
We've got internal CCTV, which is already currently in place, but we're going to link it into our external.
I think I read somewhere about a log. Would you be keeping a log of this? A physical log?
The SIA officer would have a duty-bound a book that he'll hopefully take any records.
Good. How will you manage smoking?
I would ban it completely if I could.
Well, it's banned from the actual premises internally, but I would like to know how you're going to manage smoking, please.
We'd have signage.
Sorry, smokers.
There will be a sign, and there'll just be a designated area, a limited area outside, I suppose.
I don't think the area is
actually one side. There's one side you're allowed to smoke.
Which is the side that we're on.
Yeah, the side we're on, you're allowed to smoke outside.
Once again, the question will be, how will you be managing smokers? How many smokers would you be allowing to be outside at any one time? This also goes on a point of nuisance. I know it's an open area, but more of noise nuisance.
I mean, Chairman, that's a really difficult one, and I'm hoping, I know I keep reiterating back, but I'm hoping with the clientele we have, we won't have to deal with that as much. I mean, currently we've been at the pottery studio now 2 years.
Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, sorry.
What I'm looking for is a number. This is what we normally have in licensing hearings, is, you give me a number, and so we see if you agree with that in our deliberation. So use, for example, now every application is judged on its own merits. We don't have a blanket figure, okay? So if you turn around and say I'll give you a little, I help a lot. I'm very relaxed in that. So when I run the meetings, if you say we're going to manage it with 3 smokers outside at any one time only, and we're going to rigorously enforce, that's what condition that you're saying. So this is the condition we'll put in your application, and one that we can discuss. So have a think about that. I'm going to pass it on to any questions I'm sure you have. Councillor Allen. I've got a few more, but I'm going to ask them after you.
I'm trying to get a picture whether you're going to be running a public house, all singing and all dancing, or whether you're running something like a bistro. So that gives me a better picture, because all these door staff, I'm thinking, hold up, how many? What we're talking about here? That's storming the bastions. Now, can you tell me what your capacity is? That's my first question.
I think it's 35. I think it's the maximum covers we can have.
Right. And, you told us you're going to have a nuisance book. So, I hope that's been listed. Now, you're talking about door staff. Are these door staff going to be on... No, let me drill back again. When you're running the pop-ups, is it going to be your clientele are going to be those who drink and eat food at the same time, or can they just come in for a drink? So
no, it's a ticketed, it's a supper, sort of like a supper club. So they will be coming in to eat and drink. So it'd be both.
Right, that's answered one of my questions. So will you be having clientele who just come in for a drink?
Between the Thursday and Friday.
They can't, because they've been in ticketed events.
Just to clarify your question, is it just for the supper clubs you're asking, or just in general, the Thursday to... In general,
okay.
yes, we would be serving alcohol between those days, yes.
Age range. What is your...
I suppose, Bob, over 25, hopefully. Even older.
Sorry, I've got to interject again. We need to have specifics, please.
Okay.
Because...
It is a family...
the reason, if you let me just explain, please. Because there is another part of the protection of children from harm.
Yes.
And I understand where Councillor Allen's coming from. I see where the question is going to... But we've got to have specifics in this hearing. It's no, I'm hoping to, I possibly will. It's, this is what I'm going to do, this is how I'm going to do it, and this is how I'm going to do it. And that's got to be it. Thank you. Take the time to discuss it. It's not a problem. We need to get to...
The age we'll be looking at is 21 and over. Thank you.
Carry on, Councillor Allen. Carry on.
It's not for me to put words in your mouth, but you say 25 and over. You're, I think 21 and over. You'll be abiding by it. Now, going back to the door staff, will you be employing these door staff every night that you're open to 11, or would it be for special occasions?
Just for the evenings, we're doing the alcohol, so from the Thursday to Saturday. I'm looking at a trial basis to see, just to make sure that we are covered and the staff are covered. I'm not looking at it's going to turn into this rowdy place.
Not with 35 people.
God forbid. We're on site as it is. My wife's on site the whole day, so I don't want to turn this into a place where, now this is a place to drink. So for me, it's just a security purpose just to have that.
Right, now we have a pub, I think it's called Pub Watch in Hillingdon, where all the public houses talk to each other and let each other know if there's a problem or an issue, and whether to call in, whether it's a police issue or it's something you can take advice on. Have you signed up to that, or will you be signing up to that?
Absolutely. I hadn't known about this, but I've just made a note of it. So yes, definitely.
Councillor Barnes.
Thank you, Chairman. And just to finish that comment off from Councillor Allen, they do also, this pub watch, they do also inform you of banned drinkers and all the really rough lot. So you are in a nice little loop of what's going on. And just a question to you. On page 25, your last point, all staff will attend comprehensive safety training. Could you just be a little bit more specific? Is that just first aid, or is there other sorts of levels of safety training?
Ideally, it would be just first aid training, just if anything happens on site. Security-wise, I'd be looking at that, and then I'd have staff from the days we do from 5 till 11. So, yeah.
Fire away.
Back to the nuisance book. Would it be anybody who's behind the bar or serving who would have ownership of that nuisance book? That, if an incident took place, it's noted straight away. It's not left to the evening. And who takes ownership of that?
It'll be the duty manager on site, whoever will be looking after site. So it'll be the most responsible person there who'd look after all that stuff. So yes, yeah.
For the foreseeable future, it'll be one of us two. So it will be two.
Okay. Now, these doors, is mentioned about doors being kept closed. Now, a lot of public houses that want to I welcome back the noise restrictor. That's another condition you've offered. Is double doors. So when one door's open, obviously the other one closed. It contains a noise. Obviously, when you have any kind of entertainment, guitars, whatever, if you open one door, the noise just shoots out. So, have you got any plans to install double doors?
Well, currently there's two sets of doors. If you look at page 43, so there's two sets of doors where the two little blue stickers are. The one on the right is the current door access. That we'd be closing, and the one on the left will be the one that's only open.
I was more in terms of two doors, one next to each other. So one opens, the other one's closed. So that closes, the other one opens. That's what I mean by double doors. Sorry, should have.
You're talking about having an internal set of doors and then an external.
It virtually becomes an internal set of doors. It's just except that when one closes, there's always one closed when you entering or exiting, so the noise doesn't escape. Go to other bars, you see, you open a door, there's another door there, so that one shuts and now the other one opens.
We will have to look at that, because at the moment, the way it is, there's just the doors you open and you go straight in.
It's just something, knowing in your experience, it's something to have on board, because this is a big concern from residents. Now, how will you actually engage with residents themselves? Have you got anything in your plans that you will talk to residents, give your contact details that should there be an issue that they can be contacted on, or you can be contacted on, sorry? Do you have any plans of that?
Yeah, that is the plans. I think we have slowly started, and I think people have started to find out that we will be the holders of the cow Byre now. So they do know Anise is there on site, so they do have a point of contact. My number will be up there, so they'll have every avenue to speak to me.
I've got quite a big clientele for my pottery studio, and I do have a lot of adult evenings we hold there anyway. So, and they're all interested in having something like a bistro type, which is more exclusive, and it's not just run of the mill. And everyone's got my details, the Little Willows details. Although it's going to be separate, but obviously we'll be sharing. I'll be sharing all my clientele.
I think it's just good practice when applicants, licence holders do display that
Yeah,
openness
yeah, yeah,
with interested parties,
yeah,
history societies,
yeah.
the conservation panels. It does just breeds good business.
Yeah.
Right. You have also on prevention of nuisance on point 4, deliveries of stock between the hours of 9 and 6. What about emptying bottles? What time would you have them? So glass bottles that you empty in your bin.
I mean, it's,
Councillor Allen?
Is your beer and wine going to be on tap, or is it going to be on...
Bottles.
And your mixers and everything else. And I frequent places like that regularly. I like a good drink. The reason why is you put down 9 to 6 o'clock deliveries and stocks. So this, in terms of noise nuisance, I have a different hang on that as a committee in terms of especially the noise that is generated by throwing bottles, cans, whatever into a recycle bin. It really does. It is a nuisance. So we will be discussing that in terms of you've offered 9 o'clock in the evening to 6 o'clock. Are you open to say an hours of 7 p.m., nothing after 7 p.m. and nothing before 9 a.m.?
absolutely, yeah.
Discuss that. Any more questions? No? I'm done. Right, okay. Right, we now move on to closing remarks from each party. So this is an opportunity where, after everything that you've heard, to make brief closing remarks. So if I could start with Ms. Toms, please, first.
Thank you. Well, I have been reassured by some of what I've heard, but I'm still a bit concerned about this question of the noise and keeping the doors closed while activity is taking place. And I'm reassured that you're going to have someone, if you like, on duty, which I feel that does reassure some of our concerns, so they will be keeping an eye on if they saw any trouble brewing. I'm still wondering whether perhaps some form of monitoring could be installed. Perhaps could the licence be reviewed after 6 months to see how things are going? I think that would be a big reassurance to us, or some assessment be made after a few months in case problems are occurring. I mean, is that possible? I don't know, how the system works.
It's just an opportunity to make your remarks.
Yeah,
unfortunately, there's no more discussion now.
No.
So if you do your remarks, then
that up
okay, thank you.
as a point for discussion.
Yes. Is that it?
Yes,
thank you. We'd like to switch to your microphone off. Ginny.
Chairman, just a couple of things. I know your concern about, the possibility of the applicants breaking the rear wall at a later stage of time and increasing the space. So the present application, like Councillor Allen mentioned, does not deal with that. But as and when they decide to do it, they'll have to submit a fresh application, which is called a full variation of the application of the premises license, because they'll be increasing the space and increasing the capacity, and that again will involve consultation with all the statutory consultees, so all the ward councillors, and which will be cascaded down to all the residents' associations as well. So you will have your chance to submit your opinion at that time. But the present application is not to do with that outside space. So everything is contained indoors. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that reassurance.
Thank you, Madam. Now we move on to the applicants.
I don't think we want to add anything further than what we've already said. I'm hoping we have given enough reassurance to you all, and just want to thank you for the opportunity.
Okay, thank you very much. Right, we're now going to move to the deliberation stage. If you'd like to leave the room, take all your bits and pieces with you, bags, electronic devices, and then once we're deliberating and come to a decision, we'll call you back. Thank you.